I'm looking at it.
Okay. Okay, to everyone, Dwell for taking the time to join us today. We really appreciate you coming out on a Sunday afternoon, a rainy Sunday afternoon in Brooklyn, but we're glad you're here anyway. We are going to begin in a couple of minutes. We just want to do a couple of mic checks to make sure you can hear us clearly on StreamYard and live here in the local audience. The Yeti's on. Can you give us a thumbs up? So I'll put a 1 in the chat if you can hear us live on stream. Yeah, so they can hear us. They can hear us live on stream. So do we still need a local mic, or we good? Do we still need a local mic, or we good? we don't need a local mic, right? We do? Yeah, we just don't want to get any feedback into the Yeti going back to the stream. So if we can eliminate one mic, that'll be better. But if we need it here locally, we'll use both. Yeah, we can turn the speakers down. Yeah, turn it down a little. Okay, Dwau. We appreciate it. Okay, everyone, we are about to get started. Will everyone please take your seats? Remember to turn off your ringers. We are going to get started at this time. I want to introduce Ottawa Tehuti Khamau. He is the Paramount King from our Philadelphia community. For those of you who don't know, Somerset is an international community. We have communities all around the world: South Africa, Ghana, Trinidad and Tobago, Canada, UK, of course, USA. We have about maybe 15 cities in the US right now. So, Ottawa Tehuti Khamau is the king of our Philadelphia community, leader of our Philadelphia community, and he has been spearheading our social media efforts to bring these teachings throughout the international community, live and virtual, so that everybody can benefit from the very important information that we have to share to make a difference in this world. And do we need it right now? Do we need it right now? We do need it right now. So we want to say Dwau. So give us a big round of applause and welcome to Ottawa Tehuti Khamau.
All right. Peace and blessings, Tehuti, everyone. Beautiful to be here in Brooklyn. So I want to welcome everybody tonight. And I know we have some Osirians in the house, right? And some observers of African protocol, right? So for those of you who know African protocol, when you're in the presence of a king, a queen, we give them a special greeting. So if you know that greeting, you're welcome to participate. If not, you can just wave or write on, or, right? But it's very special always when we have the opportunity to be in the presence of Un Nefer Amen, who has been a tireless force for wisdom and guidance to help us to connect back to our ancient ancestral culture for 50 years. Let me say that again. 50 years. That's half a century. And I'm so fortunate because I was there for 43 of them. I was there back in the day when if you wanted to get the knowledge, you had to travel. You had to sit down in the class, take your notes, take out your cassette recorder. Who remembers what a cassette looks like? Anybody here? Yeah. So for 50 years, he's been sharing and teaching. As we said on our last broadcast, he introduced the solstice back in 1973. Some people just came into the awareness of, like, what is the solstice? 1973, he was speaking about the solstice and the changes in energy and how it affects our spirit and our ability to achieve our goals in life and so on. And he's been teaching basically weekly since that time, 90% or probably 99% without compensation. We're talking about free will donation. So if that's not an example of a selfless service to our people in our community, I don't know what is, right? So with that, we want to appreciate and respect him. So let us, in our ancient Kamitic tradition, greet him with the greetings of power, peace, and blessing. So if you would join us, please stand. And we'd like to give him the greetings of a king. Yes. Natural rock, shekem round Nefer Amen the first. And we'd also like to greet our wonderful Queen Mothers. We have two of our Nesuit with us. Nesut Mashtam Amen and Nesut Neter Chirue, Neteraten Nesuit. Thank you so much. Please be seated. How we feeling? Are you fired up? I'm a little fired up because I'm home in Brooklyn. Actually, I'm from the Bronx, but spend a lot of time in Brooklyn. And I'm also home because this is family to me. I'd like to give a shout out, thanks, and much appreciation to my cousin, Monique Nicholas. Come on. Yes. And she is the continuation of a wonderful story that started with my cousin, Randolph Nicholas. How many years ago has it been? Since 1974. Okay, so we have 1973, 1974. And she has taken over the business in his retirement and kept this location going, as well as there's a location in Harlem, right? On 125th still? Okay, 3rd Ave between 108th and 109th. And they've been a fixture in the community when it comes to, spiritual books and authors and, the oils and the incense and all of the, natural remedies and cultural clothing and all of that. And, being in business myself, it's not easy, right? It's not easy to keep that going and to have a principal business that's there as a resource in the community. So we really want to appreciate them. And some of you got spiritual readings today. Can I see a show of hands? Spiritual readings right here on Fulton Street. It's good, right? So they were gracious enough to lend us a space in the back to be able to provide that service. And we really appreciate it. So let's give them a hand one more time. Last night, they had a tremendous event. They packed the house. This is a Sunday night, but it was important for us to come out. And I want to say peace and blessings to everybody that's joining us online that couldn't make it in person. It's an important night because we are approaching the winter solstice, which is a very, very sacred time of year. And we wanted to make sure that we got this information, this understanding, and a new opportunity to be a part of an online I don't even want to just say course. It's a course, but it's a cohort. It's a group that you'll be able to be a part of because the winter solstice is actually the beginning of the winter season. That's what you'll hear about today, right? The energy that's present in that part of the year is very critical for what happens to you in the next 12 months, right? So we have a program tonight that we are so excited to be rolling out. And it is a synthesis of Shechem or Shechem's work over all these years. You know, it's one thing to talk about spirituality. It's one thing to be a good researcher, right? And study things and be able to represent, you know, other people's information. It's another thing to have a laboratory, and I'm one of the lab rats, you know, that you've had thousands of people, right? Over the span of half a century, you know, working with these mantras and, you know, meditation and qigong and all of these practices and so on, and you can see the result, right? You can evaluate what works and what maybe it worked at one time in history. It was a different environment, different situation, right? We're in a kind of different space right now, just in the last 5 years, right? So imagine, you know, 2,000 years ago, it's a little different. You know, we weren't dealing with the poison in the air and the water and the food and the electromagnetic, you know, poisoning from all these devices and energy fields and light poisoning where you can't even, you know, when it got dark back then, you went to sleep, right? I mean, it was, you know, that was it. You know, we could stay up all night. So it's just a different time. So you need that scientific approach to be able to, you know, bring the best of wisdom into a practical application and then be able to verify the results and make the adjustments that's necessary to get the fullness out of it. You follow what I'm saying? So that's what we appreciate about his work, you know, and his sincerity. So Shechem or Shechem, if you don't know, Un Nefer Amen is an author of over 40 books. He wrote the world-renowned Meditative series. That's a 7-volume set. It took the veil off the so-called mystery system of ancient Kemet and also gave the keys to unite the practices, the language, the technique, the philosophy of ancient Kemet with the rest of the African diaspora, right? So you could understand the connection between the Kamitic and the Yoruba, between the ancient Canaanitic, Sumerian, or the roots of the Hebrew, and so on around the world. You could see that it's really one truth out there. We're just speaking different languages, we're using different terms, and different groups of ancient people had different understandings or different parts, you know, of the puzzle. So that's one of his great accomplishments. He also verified the mantras and the meditation techniques in his own personal life. And you may say, well, how do you do that? Well, one of the greatest evidences is that he was able to channel an oracle system. Okay. And if you're not aware, the Meditative oracle system, which has been in practice now for how many years is it? It's 1990. To the public, right. So that's powerful. And this is a system that's in use still today. And we have verified the accuracy, the veracity of the readings that you can do with that and the application of the actual, you know, prescriptions that the oracle gives you, right? So we're not talking about belief. We're not talking about, you know, your angle. You know, we're talking about something that there's verification. And that's something that's very, very important. So at this time, I would like to bring to the audience our honored guest, our wise elder, our master teacher, Shechem or Shechem Ra Un Nefer Amen. We see you online. Put some fire in the chat there.
You the one?
Right in the middle spot.
Middle spot. What's up, everyone? Peace, Alafia, Shalom, Assalamu alaikum. I'd like to begin by giving thanks to Sister Nicholas for hosting us once more again. It's a great honor to be here. I want to thank you for coming out. Rainy Sunday, when you want to curl up in bed and just take it easy, but you felt and understood the importance of coming out and sharing the evening, with us. We give thanks. 2 weeks from now, 2 Sundays from now, people will be out reveling, talking about, Happy New Year, goodwill to all men. And people will be making pledges for a better year, right? Changes that they're going to make in their lives, and great things or just important things or just a little better to take place in 2024 and the years after. Is that a train? Okay, I was wondering. I thought I was getting heavy here, shaking things up. A little disappointed that. Yeah. So 2 weeks from now, people will be out there talking about welcoming the new year, making a pledge, right, to be better, to be less angry, to be less selfish, to be more kind, to be richer, to be healthier, give up the excess salt and sugar and the alcohol and things like that. And most of it will fall by the wayside, as it has year after year. And since people began to do this thing here, this empty ceremony and so on, you know the routine, right? You write the pledge on a piece of paper and burn it or tear it up. I don't know what to do with it, but And then 7 days from now, folks, they're celebrating Christmas. Spending a whole lot of money. And what bothers me most about Christmas is that, if my mother had put the money that she saved every year for Christmas into an interest-bearing saving account, if our parents had done that, I think the Black community would be in greater shape. What do you think? Yeah, I'm not saying anything against Christmas. I'm just simply saying about the reality that there are better ways of dealing with money. You see that? And I think they still have those savings, those Christmas plans. Huh? They still have it, right? So, make some noise out there. Change some minds. You see that? Do your own, reparations. Starting with reparating our minds, our psyche, our spirit, which will yield, dividends and some profits. So 7 days from now, people will be out there. Well, they have already started talking about, the most wonderful time of the year and goodwill to all men and let there be peace and things of that nature. And when we see people contradicting those pledges, contradicting those aspirations, we have a knee-jerk reflex response to call them hypocrites. But they're not hypocrites. You see that? They're just us who do those things. We are the products of a culture, you see, that has made us, believe that this is the way to celebrate that time of the year and to declare, our intentions and desires and aspirations for a better life. We're not taught the right things. You see that? We go back several tens of thousands of years when our ancestors, listen carefully, those of you young folks in here, right? We were never slaves. We were enslaved people. Know the difference. We were kings and queen mothers and priests and priestesses and sages and great craftsmen and women who were imprisoned, stolen, and brought here. And what we're doing here is reclaiming our legacy. You see that? As Malcolm X said, Nobody can give you your freedom. Nobody can give you what belongs to you. Take it. And this is what we've been doing for the past 50 years, is taking what belongs to us, because as the I Ching, that great Chinese book of wisdom, says, you cannot lose what belongs to you. Remember that. If it belongs to you, you can't lose it. You see that? So this thing about Christmas and the New Year's, that's a Western invention. You see that? Thousands of years before the Western man, the Northern man, began to celebrate Christmas and Yule, Saturnalia and Bacchanalia and all of these, ways of celebrating the changes that occurs in the planet, you say, on December the 20th to the 25th and December the 31st, you say, we had a different and better understanding of what was taking place. You see that? We were the people who, discovered the winter solstice, not the Northerners, not the Western man. You see that? When you go on television, you're going to find people talking about the winter solstice, was celebrated by people, in England, a place called Stonehenge. And they're still speculating, trying to understand, well, what kind of ceremonies were done at that time. They don't know. That's speculation. You see, but out of that speculation comes your and our practice, of getting drunk and celebrating and reveling and things of that nature. And, we do the SantaCon thing. We go bar hopping. And by the way, that brought it into Kwanzaa too. There's some people that come Kwanzaa, they go bar hopping. You cannot let anybody rewrite your history and your spirituality. You got to take charge of it yourself. You see that? So, getting back to the story here, you see, our ancestors, thousands of years ago, discovered the winter solstice, which is really one of four very important times of the year: the winter solstice, the spring equinox, the summer solstice, and the autumnal equinox. You see that? What is important about those times of the year? They're the times of the year when the magnetic force of the planet Earth, you see that, affects the psyche of man, the psyche of man. You see that? To affect our ability to grow spiritually, to regenerate our mind, our spirit, our soul, that we may be able to achieve our goals. You see that? So what happens on December the 21st to the 24th is a geomagnetic event. There's a functional matrix in the human body that responds to geomagnetic forces. Okay, you can go on to Google and Google geomagnetic forces and the psyche and the spirit and biology, and you will know that there are geomagnetic forces called ley lines. You see that affect your ability to maintain your health and to achieve things in this world. We are plugged into this, as if there's a force in the planet that we are plugged into. And it comes into our psyche. And the receptacles of these are called spirits or chakras, or, the guas, the Chinese call it the guas, and things of that nature. But we are aware that we have receptors. Pigeons and birds, they fly from north down south, when the winter comes, right? What's your highway? What directs them? What directs animals in their migration? When certain fish, and whales travel from one hemisphere to the other hemisphere, they're following these same magnetic lines. You see that? A compass, has this little metallic, indicator in it, right? That the magnetic force of the planet can turn it and point northward. That same magnetic force, you see, if it can affect that needle in a compass, it can also affect, our body. We are also biomagnetic, entities. And this force, it waxes and it wanes cyclically. You see that it has its beginning point, what you call the winter solstice. And it begins to wax towards March. We call that the spring equinox, where the force takes our ability to achieve things and energizes them. You see that, and reaches its pinnacle, on June the 20th to the 24th, same as December 20th to 24th, right? June 2024, we have the summer solstice. So that's when we get to the highest point of the year, when we're capable of maintaining, mastery over our inner and outer environment. And after the summer solstice, it begins to wane once more again. Our body, our minds, our psyche doesn't just function in a straight line. It waves up and down. Our blood pressure goes up and down. Every 12 hours it rises, next 12 hours it drops. Our ability to exercise, our ability to memorize, our ability to digest food goes up and down. You see that? The best time to go to bed is 11 o'clock p.m. That's when your body has been programmed to do the best sleep. So if you get into bed 8, 9, or 1 o'clock in the morning, you're not getting the best sleep that you can get. You're not getting the best rejuvenation, cleansing of your body that your body is capable of doing, because your sleep, digestion, and elimination and detoxification is on a bio clock. Go to Google and Google, biological clocks. You're going to find that every function that you have is on the clock. You want to cram for an exam, do it in the morning, not in the evening. Okay? You want to get the best from your strength and aerobic exercise, do it early afternoon, not in the morning, not at night, because your body is on the clock. Your psyche is on an annual clock for you to achieve your goals. The best time for you to sow into your mind, into your soul, the vision of being healthier, the vision of being a great entrepreneur, the vision of achieving whatever goals you want to achieve. The best time to impress that into your mind and your psyche is during the months of the winter. From December the 21st to March the 21st. That's the best time for you to impress your psyche, with the mission to make your life better. If you are sitting down and trying to impress your mind to do the best thing for you, let's say on April the 18th, you missed the best time to do that. You understand that? You can still do it, but now you're swimming upstream. You see that? To move with the stream, to impregnate your mind and your psyche with the mission to make your life better, you see that, is to do it between December the 21st and March the 21st. Secretary to you, please. You see that? These things are in the Bible, but the Bible has codes and hide these things. You see, Ezekiel's vision, where he saw these 4 animals, right, was referring to these 4 points of the compass. It's talking about the 4 seasons. When it's a time for everything under the sun, he's talking about the laws of cycle. You see, you would have read the Bible with greater intent. Instead of calling it the Old Testament or the New Testament, they called it a success manual. A manual to make lots of money. Then you would have read the Bible. You got to understand these things. You see that? Okay, as a matter of fact, every author, every guru of success, all these guys, that write this book on how to make money and how to get friends and how to be successful, they all reference quotes in the Bible and the spiritual literature and the Rosicrucian manuals. They all, cherry pick these books because that's, what we call spirituality is just not simply how to be saintly and how to be nice to others. It's how to become wealthy, how to do good, how to be healthy, how to live a better life. That's what it's all about. You see that? So I put this course together for the past 50 years, well, 49 years that we've been doing this and so forth. Now, we have been evolving along, with the years with it, learn to teach it better, because the ancients did not leave us books, academic step-by-step instructions like this is the way you do it. This is what it is for. This is what you do. They gave a glimmer, a hint that you could improve your life, with these systems. You see that? So we've been working with it and verifying, for ourselves, the truths that we discovered. You see that? So the essence of you changing your life and having success in your life, the most important thing that you can do, which you're going to start at the winter solstice and then cultivate during the next 3 months of the winter, is to establish and or to renew your relationship with God. That might sound like, oh, well, I've heard about that. Oneness with God is important. You see? And God is within us. God lives within us, and we live within the divine spirit of God. People say that all the time without understanding that, hey, wait a minute, not everybody can, have God in his or her spirit. Not every body can live in God's spirit. You have to do a certain number of things to meet the requirement, you see, to be part of to live in God's spirit and for God to live within you. Imagine that the worst of sinners, an immoral person, an evil person can say, I owe my success to God dwelling within me. That's making sense, right? So there are things that you have to do in order to become one with God. You see that? And if you're not one with God, well, your life is going to be hit and miss. More misses than hits. You see, and some of the hits are you getting hit. And you know how that feels, what that looks like. So I want you to understand that the most important spiritual objective that you can set is to achieve your oneness with God. You see that? And once we unpack what that looks like, you're going to find that you're going to need, some expert teachings on how to do this. You see that? Okay. So one of the things that you will learn in the course that we have put together for you is that one of the most important steps for you to be one with God, meaning for God to dwell within you and you and God, is to have respect for God. You say, well, I know that's common sense. You see that? But let's unpack it a little bit here, right? If you have an immoral thought that jumps into your mind, like, I wish he should drop dead. People get thoughts like that when people do them wrong, right? I wish he should drop dead. That's a thought that you may never voice in public. You will never want for people to know that you're thinking that way. But you might allow that thought to play in your mind and stay in your mind because to you, your mind is a private place. As a matter of fact, the Western man will teach you that everybody is, can have their own opinion. Everybody's entitled to their own opinion, to think whatever they want to think. You see that? Well, that is denying that God is omnipresent. One of God's attributes is omnipresence. Omnipresent means that God is private to what you are accepting and doing, you see, and you have no privacy in the face of God. So you see, you have to cultivate that respect for God. You see that by not allowing thoughts and feelings, you see, in that space that you call the private space you call your mind. Actually, when you go into ancient Kamitic and Taoist teachings, you will find out what the Western man calls as the mind. There's really no such thing as the mind. It's a metaphor. Take it up, right? The scientists give you metaphors as if they're facts. Subconscious mind and conscious mind. There's no such thing as a conscious mind. All mental activity, are subconscious. And because the mind cannot be conscious. You are the conscious entity. The mind is one of the tools that you use to process information. You see that? Okay, so there's all this confusion inside here. The point I want to make here is that, your space that you call your mind is what is referred to in ancient Taoist teaching the channel and Kamitic, and the Yogic teaching the shamans. They call it your temple. You see that? And the Holy of Holies is a faculty, the highest faculty in your spirit. Your spirit is made up of 11 different faculties, just like your body is made up of different faculties, right? Your body is made up of different faculties, correct? Respiratory system, cardiovascular system, reproductive system. Oh, yeah. Everybody knows about that one, and so on. So the same way that your physical body is made up of different faculties, they say doing different things, but all in unity with each other, your spirit is made up of 11 different faculties. You see it? And those 11 faculties include the psyche, which itself is subdivided into five pairs, bipolar pairs, or 10 faculties as well. And these are supposed to be like sacred numbers, the number 9, number 15, number 21. There are all these encode numbers in the spiritual, books and things of nature. But what you have to know is that the same way that there's a knowledge of the finite number of faculties in your physical body, there is the knowledge of a finite number of faculties in what you call your spirit and what you call your psyche. You see that? Meaning that you can have a definite, perfect system, you see, to work on your spirituality. And that's what the ancient Egyptians, your ancestors, our ancestors, built that magnificent civilization we call ancient Egypt. You see that? Okay, and when we discover, our forefathers, when I say our forefathers, I'm not talking about, the people that founded America. Huh? I just want to be, I don't want nobody to get confused, I'm talking about King Khufu, his sons Khafra, Menkaura, Hatshepsut, Ramesh, not Ramses, Ramesh the first, and so on. I'm talking about, Queen, Mother Nefertari, that liberated Kemet from the northern invaders. Before I'm saying it, long before there was a Yasantawa, the black woman took up the mantle for freedom in Kemet thousands of years ago, and things of that nature. You see, our forefathers discovered the winter solstice, you see, because they were the one that discovered the 24-hour division of the day. Started with a sun clock. You see that? They put the stick into the ground, leveled it, and triangulated it, and observed the passage, of the transitions of the shades, and came up with a solar clock. And once they start recurring the same way, year after year, they found that it coincided with the rising of the Nile, okay, which was great because they had to escape being inundated and know what, the time to plant food and harvest and so forth. But then they discovered that it coincided and foretold the moment for the regeneration of the human psyche and spirit, which is your most important asset. Your most important asset is not your musical talent, it's not your scientific talent, it's not your physical abilities, it's your spirit, your soul. Those are your most important resources. You see that? That's what governs your life. And if you know more about, mathematics and biology and chemistry, and social media, And you know, I had to throw that one in, because people are influencers. One of these days, influencers are going to be young people that are at the forefront of shaping, mankind's, movement to a better day. You see that? So once our ancestors discovered the moment of the regeneration of the psyche and the body and so on, right? It's like waking up from a good night's sleep, ready to go through another day, right? So, so imagine that there's a 365, 300 minus 4 days, 300, actually 360 days, okay? The ancient Egyptians said the year was 360, okay, days. Because the other 5 were good for doing no things. You see that? And once you know when the year began, it's like waking up from a 360-day sleep. You see that? Why? Because your day begins when you wake up. You see that? And universally, we have found that there's a best time to go to bed and the best time to wake up and go about your business of living. So when the ancient Egyptians discovered that, our ability to grow spiritually, to achieve great things, as witnessed by the great civilization they left. You see that? The king, by the name of Khufu, built the first stone Masonic pyramid at Giza. Okay? And that pyramid, when it's aligned properly, by triangulation, was able to show, the exact date of the winter solstice and the summer solstice and the equinoxes. So they knew the best time to that the spirit and the soul wakes up, you see, and begins to wax in its ability is for man to carry out his and her, life accomplishment task. And the best time to achieve your dominance and then to rest for another day. You see that? So they built these massive pyramids, the Khufu pyramid, and then his 2 sons, Khafra and Menkaura, and the 3 great pyramids, tie into 3 great stars. You see that in heaven. Now the height of them, matches 3 great stars, and those 3 great stars became the theme of 3 wise men following the stars, you see, to visit the king that is reborn on December 25th. But don't wake them up. Let sleeping go sleep. That's for you to know. I'm not bothering anybody. I just want to make sure that you are reclaiming your spiritual science. Okay? Not following the spiritual science of somebody who is in trouble. The people who are spiritually troubled, you don't have to follow them because you have your own. There's a song, but right, God bless the child that has his own. That's what I'm talking about here, our own. Okay, people want to, they want to critique and apologize for the errors of, Christianity and that religion. But I say, no, leave these people alone. Just focus on reclaiming and living your own. Once you begin to fix yourself, like before there can be peace in the world. That's what they're singing about, right? Yeah? Peace in the world. You first have to be peaceful within you. You see that? So these are the things that you need to reprogram in your psyche. You see, not at the winter solstice, not those 4 days of the winter solstice, but beginning with the winter solstice, you got to reprogram your psyche and your mind and your body, you see, by certain meditations that will take you through, December the 21st to March the 23rd. You see that? 21st, sorry. Okay, folks? So, your oneness with God, and there are There are 3 meditations in the course that will teach you different ways and the different things that you need to do to establish your oneness with God. There's nothing more important under the mantle of spirituality, more important than you establishing your oneness with God. If you have God in your corner, who else do you need? Can't you be peaceful? Can't you be happy? But you have to know what is God, or what are God's attributes. Omnipresence. What does omnipresence mean? That God lives within you and everybody. You see that? And if I respect God, if I give respect to God, and I clean out God's temple, meaning your mind, my mind and my psyche, so that God can enter and dwell within me. You see, when you say God lives within you, that's potential. Ain't nobody gonna come and live in a filthy house with you. You gotta clean out. You gotta clean out. You gotta be pure. You know, spiritual talk about being pure, and they talk about you not living by the immoral lifestyle of, you know, other folks and things of that nature. So you have to earn the right for God to dwell within you. So you have to understand what is God's omnipresence. God is, you know, within you, provided that you are living truth. When you live the truth, meaning you respect God by making sure that you are not, you know, dwelling and accepting thoughts that you will never, you know, let people know that you're having. But you do in front of God, right? Okay. Now there's a great reward for that. If God is within me, and God is within you, and you need something, you don't have to tell me. God within me will bring me to you. And out of nowhere, I started talking, and all of a sudden, you say, wow, he just got to say what I needed to hear. And you had experience of that? Somebody come up and give you a tip, right? Start to talk to you about an herb that you could take that fixes your health problems, or a place you can go to get a job, or, you know, just a little statement that just change your mind and show you the light, right? That's God hooking you up with somebody. You see that? Or you might be doing it for somebody. You see that? So that's when we say that God is omnipresent, God is everywhere. You got to understand it means dividends to you. It brings strangers and people who don't know of your needs to bless you, and for you to bless people that you don't even know or know that of their needs. So that's what the oneness of God does. It makes us one with one another. You understand what I'm talking about here? So, but you got to clean yourself of hatred and selfishness and, you know, all these immoral acts that, you know, certain people, certain cultures will tell you it's okay, you know, because you're just a human being. No, you're not a human being. You're a divine being. Okay? People walk around saying, you know, I'm a child of God. You ever said that? I'm a child of God, right? Well, you remember the great sage, right? It said the child of a sparrow is a sparrow, not Joe. Right? The child of a sparrow is a sparrow. Some of y'all too young to understand that lyric. It was a Calypsonian by the name of Sparrow. The mighty sparrow. So he wrote a song about, you know, I guess somebody had a child and was trying to pin it on him. So he wrote a song saying the child of a sparrow is a sparrow, not Joe or something like that. So the child of a dog, of a God, is a God. And the Bible, of the Hebrew people say, you know, and God said, let us make man in our own image and likeness. So if we are made in the image of likeness of God, we are divine beings, not human beings. Okay? So think about it, work it out. Even in the New Testament, in the book of Timothy, it said the problem with man is that, you see, it's the human side of man. You must put on the new garment, you see, of divinity to end your problems. And this is what you will be doing on December the 21st until March the 23rd. Meditations. You cannot change and help yourself and impress that great tool that you have called the mind to be successful and to heal you and help others by 1 day meditation or 4 days meditation. The winter solstice says you got to spend many, many days, a month or two meditating with a good program to change your psyche. You see that? When we talk about the power of the mind, you have to saturate your mind with energies, the right kind of psychic energy and things of that nature. You see that? And you know this energy, you know what the energy is? The energy is joy. You know, if you are a joyful person, you're full of the essence of solar energy. That's part of the medieval teachings that the medieval Europeans got from Kemet. There's a tarot card, you know, that says the Empress, and she has all of these solar things above her head, right? To let you understand that what you call joy is solar energy. If you are full of joy, if you are always joyful, meaning not one moment sad, then joyful. Not one moment upset and angry, then another moment joyful. Not one moment, you know, cussing and carrying on, and then another moment joyful. If your life is just up and down, then you have no solar energy within you. Meaning that, you know, all those visions and missions of success don't have any energy. They're not going to happen. You understand what I'm talking about? So the question is, how do you stay perpetually joyful? You know, there was such a thing, perpetual joy, meaning that you become joyful and never lose it. There's a word for that. That's called happiness. Happiness is being, you know, enjoying the good things of life when you have them. And when you don't have them, being at peace and enjoying being at peace. So you're always joyful. That's what happiness is. There's no such thing as something made you happy and something made you unhappy. Then you don't know the definition of happiness. And there's some authors that kind of like hit on the truth and they end certain stories like, and they live happily ever after. They understood that happily was something that you maintain ever after. Meaning that if happiness is not joy ever after, it is not happiness. You follow what I'm saying? What's good for you to be successful one day and be joyful, and the next day you're sad again? No. If it is possible to be joyful and never lose that joy, then go for it. And this is one of the greatest secrets of ancient Egyptian teachings. You see that? Okay? I'd like you to go, when you go home, go to Google and Google the neurochemistry and neurobiology of smiling. If you can smile, and you can, no matter what is going on in your life, your brain and your neural system generates all kind of opioids and positive, you know, chemicals to heal your body, your mind, and your brain. You see that? Whether you know, because if you like waiting for something to happen to smile, you put in the cart before the horse. Now smile to make something happen. Don't wait for something to happen to smile. Okay? Smiling is your key that connects, you know, volitional, willful action to, you know, effects in the psyche. You see that? Now, every emotion other than joy, well, you know, is transient. The yogis talk about that. Do not worship transient things that come and go. Meaning that if your joy comes from, you know, sensual things and emotional things, the joy of achieving things, achieve my goals, now I'm joyful. Then tomorrow, something happens, you lost the joy. Yeah, transient. That's the way the world is. You see that? If your joy is some sensory, excitement, well, that sensation cannot continue for too long. It peters out, or you become desensitized to it. Okay, so then you need to make it stronger and stronger and stronger till you wear it out. That's what happened to people who, smoke, let's say, cigarettes. It makes the brain secrete dopamine. You feel good. Then wears off in 15 minutes. Because smoking that. Dopamine, you feel good. Wears out because another cigarette. That's why people become addicted to things that make them feel good. It's a dopamine that the brain, produces, in response to the joyful thing. But there is one source of joy that never wears out, and that is peace. You see that? I can enjoy the good thing when I have them, right? Somebody gives you a Mercedes, you can enjoy that, right? What happens if you crash it the next day? Be at peace and enjoy being at peace. You never lose the joy. You never lose the peace. That is the great message of antiquity. You say, well, Shekel, easier said than done. I said, Kashing. Because now you got to buy my course to learn how to do it. It's not a simple thing. It's a set of meditations. I got children. I got a mortgage. and for the you hear the brother say right now, for the most of the 50 years I've been out here teaching, I haven't charged a penny. Okay? For the classes I've given, and we're all over the world. Why? Because you see, when you take care of others, the people that you take care of don't have to take care of you. God will do it. Understand that. If I help you, you don't have to give back to me. All you have to do is have a need. So if I help you, when I need, God will help me. God will send somebody to help me. That's the omnipresence of God. God lives between me and in other people, and that's what you're going to learn how to do. Because there's a part of your mind that has been cultivated by the human psyche within you. The human psyche is that part of your soul that generates anger, worry, grief, hatred, all the negative feelings comes from your soul. It comes from your psyche. Because your what you call the human soul is an entity that has 500 million years of programming. Okay, what you call the human soul, the human psyche, has been programmed by behavioral responses that you share with Jurassic, animals, that you share with lions, and it's all, you have all of these programs within you to respond and to survive, you see, according to the social needs of Jurassic Park animals and lions and things of that nature. And George Orwell in his Animal Farm kind of like broke it down, but people didn't get the message. But that's what we're living right now. George Orwell, 1984, right? But anyhow, folks, you see, go back and Google the ancient Egyptian civilization, and you will find that our ancestors are the ones that gave the world, religion, spirituality, science, mathematics, writing, literature, medicine, any and everything that is, the heights of human and man's achievement started with our ancestors. You see that? And all I'm doing here is to let you understand that we need to get back to these teachings and live by them, so that you see, so that because you see, our people have, especially the young ones, been put in a trick bag. Because the Western man didn't give you this and didn't do that for you, the other, you got to go out there and shoot and kill and steal or whatever. No. Okay? The I Ching has a hexagram called the 39 hexagram obstruction. It says, it has a picture of a man standing on a ledger, and it's looked down, it's a steep drop below and a steep rising behind. Can't go forward nor backwards. And the I Ching says, good fortune. Because now you got to go within. And that is where us black folks are. We are in a situation where we cannot go forward, we cannot go backward unless and until we learn to go within. What is within? The kingdom of God is within. You see that? But I'm not offering you nice platitudes and poems and sayings. I'm giving you, the systematic technical instructions that our ancestors developed. Because what we call spiritual science is, hand in hand with, chemistry and physics. It shares the same language and the same rules of observation, practice, experimentation, and proofs. If you meditate, and it's already been confirmed, by scientists, that when you meditate, your brain secretes more, substantia nigra, meaning, and then that's the part that produces dopamine. And when the brain produces enough dopamine, you are self-sufficient for joy and pleasure. You see that? Okay? When you meditate, the body produces, more serotonin. Okay, you're now calm and peaceful. You don't need to take drugs, and marijuana to feel peaceful and mellow, whatever. Your body produces all of these drugs. You see, all you have to do is to know what to do. In our society, 50 years, we don't have any people who are addicted to any alcohol or tobacco or any of those things. In 50 years, we don't have any, situation where, any man, has raped and abused, sexually assaulted any of the children or women in Osada Set. 50 years. And we go on retreat, 500 people, 10 years, in the bush, in the park, those, forest parks, and nobody, no fights, nobody's harmed, whatever. You see that? Because we infuse ourselves with the divine parts within our being. And this is what we are offering you. You see that? There are a lot of success teachers, and this is a success lecture for you. A lot of success teachers that made their money by teaching a success course. That's not me. I'm here because I've been able to write close to 40, 45 books and over 100, musical compositions. You see that? I've written a play, I've written a novel, things of that nature. I've been the head of an international organization for 50 years now. Okay, and we would be in many other cities if we had more, a larger contingency of workers and things of that nature, but we're getting there. You see that? We get no grants. We ask for no grants because we don't want to have strings attached to the things that we have to do. You see that? So, I'm giving you as proofs the things that I have done to help my person, the members of my society that all have good jobs, they all finished their college education, they all did well from these meditations and these teachings that we're giving to you. And this, what we are, is a small, manifestation of what our ancestors did in ancient Egypt. You see that? So we put a course together that has, 4 personal meditations. You learn how to meditate. When you meditate, you will increase the gray matter in your brain, the white matter in your brain, the connection, the astral, glial cells that connect to each other. You will learn better and things of that nature. When you meditate, you will begin to tone down the hypersympathetic reaction that you call stress. You will learn to increase your ability to heal and regenerate. It's all scientists, they have put people and studied them. They do EKG and all kind of electronic equipment while they are meditating, and they follow up their lives. And they know that meditation, has all of these great healing benefits to them and life improvements. You see that? Will they publicize it? No, because it'll take away money from Pfizer and Merck. Plain and simple. Okay? So please understand that, people that look like you have been doing this for 50 years with good results. And this is what we want to share with you. The course will have these 4 meditations. We also have maybe 4 or 5 group meditations. Nobody's offering that. Okay, webinars to amplify what's in the course for you and give you a chance to ask questions and get, answers to, so you can really, we want you to be successful. And to be successful, you have to approach this the way you approach, a professional, medical course or engineering course somewhere and so on. You see that? Okay. The course will also include lectures for you to understand the academic side, to what we're teaching. And if any of you have read my Meditative Volume 1 through 7, you know how academic we can get. That is why we're going to offer you assistance. You see that? And anybody here did the Mark 11 Laws course? Okay. You haven't checked out my Mark 11 Laws of God course? Well, we're going to be we're adding, at no extra cost, monthly partner tutor meditations for the general public to it. Yes. Okay. So that every month you will be able, at the time of the month where your psyche is most receptive and empowered, for you to begin to do the meditation that will activate the spiritual faculties within you. You see that? Okay. So we did this for our members for the past 50 years. We are moving beyond that, and we want to, and now that we have, a cadre of over 300 priests and priestesses and student priestesses and priests, we want to put them to work to help the community. This is uplift itself spiritually. My beloved, let's make this 2024 a real, better year. Let's work together, so that we can learn how to meditate for ourselves, how we can change others by meditating for them. You can do that, right? Chinese talk about Qigong, how we can send energy to help people. Well, you don't have to send energy. Just visualize. If you are pure and invigorated, you can visualize somebody having freedom from pain. It seems them in a better situation. You see that? And it will happen for them. And if you put more time helping others through your meditation, you will help yourself. Because once you're one with God, what you do for somebody else, you've done it for yourself. Peace, and thank you so much. Yes. And along with the materials that I spoke about, we have oils, certain aromatic, aromatherapy oils that will assist you with your meditation. You can get in right at Nicholas. Okay, if not tonight, you can come back tomorrow or the day after, and these oils have been crafted, to help awaken those spiritual centers. You see that, so that you can create a reflex response of the, when you put the oil on and you do the meditation, right? Another time when you can put the oil again, it brings back the memory and the energies that you cultivated at a different time. If you are hugging somebody that has a certain perfume, the next time you see the person or you smell that perfume, it brings back the memory of that hugging that person with that feeling. And that's why women will spend $500 on a perfume that only she or a handful of women will have. Peace and love.
So if you have any questions, Cheikh will answer a few questions at this time. So please feel free. If you have a question, just raise your hand. We'll acknowledge you.
Yes, my dear.
Can you meditate while you're driving?
Oh, no. No. Unless they want to know, can you meditate while you're driving? I was going to say, well, unless you have a Tesla, that you can trust. But I think, what's his name, called back 2 million Teslas. So the answer at this point is no. Yes, sir.
Hello.
Hello.
I tried to join your establishment about 14 years ago, and I stepped into my avenue,
Okay.
and I didn't follow instructions. I tried way too hard, and there were some repercussions. Is there a way to reverse it without medication?
Well, I don't want to get personal, but it all depends on the medication you're talking about. You see? There are some medications that you just can't get off from. Some medications like that. At least that's what they say. Okay. But the new things happening, but stay open-minded. But there are a lot of things that you can reverse through meditation for a good course. You see that? You may have to have meditation scripts written specifically for you. You see that? Okay. But if your medication prescribed by your doctor, you don't want to make changes, on your routine without consulting with your doctor. But when the body gets used to certain things, you can have withdrawal symptoms, and that can be worse than the substance itself. Okay? Very good. Yes, sir.
So in Kamitic, thanks for coming. The Kamitic teachers, they'll cover.
No, that's a
Do Kamitic teachings, they'll cover the healing starts in the gut?
Yeah, yes. As a matter of fact, it's a papyrus, okay, that covers health matters, right? And the papyrus was written by King Pepi I, who was the world's first documented physician. He was the king and a physician, and he lived over 100 years. And in this book, it says that health begins with the colon. You see that, okay? And of course, the book is not like very much detailed, because most of these books were like snippets to be elaborated by the teacher and so on. But yes, help began because through the surgeries that they did for the mummification, they were able to see the putrefaction that goes on in the large intestine, and things of that nature.
So are you projecting in your teachings that it also tying the energy in with your gut?
Oh yeah, be gluten free to start with, because gluten, that's a part of wheat and other such grains that make the flour stick together like bread and so on. That's part of it, right? And the gluten would tear up your intestines. People don't know that. They see that. Eat foods that disinfect the gut, such as raw garlic. You see? All right. Take a probiotic and prebiotic as well. You see that? Because not only does health begins with the gut is a second brain. Okay? It has receptors, for information, just as you find in the brain. You see that? Okay? So yeah, you want to study a lot about the gut and how to keep it healthy. You see that? Okay?
Yes.
I have a quick question. My perspective, because the realization of that you do, Ducal and Terror and Kamitic success have had a profound impact on. But I just was wondering when you created those, and I also kind of the realization of that you wrote as well, right?
1974.
Yeah, I couldn't even like associate your name with it back then, but I did. Google helps. But I just wanted to ask kind of like how those were created. And also I was correct. That was your like one of your first pieces, or was it?
Yes, that was my very first book was The Residual Later New.
Just like I read the book for myself. Just so I could like make it easier for me to try to just ear to try to listen to it. But yeah, no, it definitely was amazing. As well as New Kamitic and Kamitic Success, which I cannot find anywhere. So yeah, I listed Brand Impression, but I just am such a fan of everything you've done, and just thank you so much for everything that you've transmitted. But those three books in particular, yeah, I just wanted to ask when they were created.
Well, Nook on the Chair was created between 1973 and 1974. No, I'm sorry, the realization of Data Nook. Yeah. And familiar with it, it is a Kamitic insight into Kabbalah. You see that? Okay. And when I first wrote the book, I took it to Samuel Weiser's, which was, the leading esoteric bookstore in the United States. And they wanted to know how the heck did I come across that insight into the tree of life and the Kabbalistic structures and things of that nature. And I said, well, these are teachings that our ancestors, developed, several thousand years ago. And, people never die. They just simply to stop living on Earth and continue to live in the inner planes. And in Africa, we have these, what the Yorubas call egungun ceremonies, where we're able to communicate and connect with the deceased to continue the business of learning and working together to uplift, the family. So yes, so we call the egungun the Shepsu. You see, and I came back with 750,000 ancestors to do this work.
And then Kamitic Success and New Kamitic, just timeline perspective, I was just curious when they were created.
Well, Nook on the Chair, okay, is is the correct title of the so-called Egyptian Book of the Dead. You see that? That was created way back in prehistoric times. You see that?
So, but in terms of when you published it, was it after the Kamitic series?
Yes, sir.
Kamitic Success, I'll just leave you with that.
Well, Kamitic Success is a simple, small little booklet, where I wrote it for my students, okay, in their success work and so on. But it's going to be superseded, with another more in-depth book by the next year. Thank you so much for your questions.
Yes.
Yes, sir.
People being born during the solstice, would that play a part? And like I was born on December 24th. How about it play a part in destiny?
I will have to, I don't want to speculate. Those are something they have to have statistical, studies on. But I would think, off the top of my head, I would think it may have an effect because it affects the geomagnetic, right? But in life, at the end of life, it's how you live your life from day to day. Over time, that counts. Okay? Yes, sir.
I watched one of your videos on the internet, and you talk about small book of meditation and mantras, small brown book. I don't know what you still have.
Meditation, a brown book.
Yeah.
Is it brown?
Reddish. It's reddish.
Yeah.
It's reddish.
It's kind of reddish. Yeah. That's the Meditative Volume 6. That has 72 mantras in it. Huh?
Is that still available?
All of my books are going to be available within the next 2 weeks.
And for those of us,
Let me explain to you what happened, right? My books have been the subject of the greatest piracy in the world. There's so many pirates out there that have bootleg, and published my book, and you catch one and two more pop up. So I'm putting in place, a platform that will put all of these pirates out of business. I'm not gonna. They're just gonna see it happening when their books are going to be sitting there not selling. You see that?
yeah, Secondly, thank you, sir. I want to know, those of us who are not available for the meetings today, when can we do the next meeting?
Well, that's not up to me.
The 30th.
The 30th?
Yeah.
Okay, very good. Between 3 and 7. Very good. Yes, my dear.
Does crystals have anything to do with meditation? Could you please repeat the question? Does crystals have anything to do with meditation?
Well, crystals themselves don't enhance meditation, okay? But they can be used to enhance, your psychic centers. You see that? Because your psychic centers, which you call chakras or neteru, okay, respond to electromagnetic forces, okay? And crystals, are configured to polarize or to make certain patterns, geometric patterns that will affect your psychic centers. But there's so much merchandising out there and so much manipulation for the purpose of making money that you really have to do a deep dive and study to make sure you're getting the right crystal for what you want to achieve, and to make sure that the crystal itself is authentic. There's a lot of bootleg and and that's why I don't really push it. Because if you live truth, you have a good script, meditation script, and the mantras, you will achieve your goals.
So we have over 500 people online. We want them to hear your question. Please use the mic.
So, with me, I have this fixation with numbers. Particularly, my youngest daughter is born on 12/21, and my mother is born on 3/21. My mother's passed, and my daughter, her birthday comes up this week. Now, when I came for my reading today, the time that she put down was 444. Every night I wake up at 3:21. I could go to sleep at 3:20. I'm going to wake up at 3:21. Yeah, it's on. And I'm going to wake up at 3:21. And the numbers are just throughout my day. These numbers are like, people say that I'm so fixated on these numbers, but do you think that there's a significance in it that I should be really delving into?
I think you should do some expert readings, I Ching and Medusa readings. Okay, properly questions are properly crafted to find out what it's all about. Yeah. Do you have recurring dreams also?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So you want to ask about those dreams also?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Appreciate it.
Yes. I wanted to ask you a question. It's 2024 next year. And you add those numbers, it's 8. What relationship does the faculty of Tehuti have the next year?
Well, we don't approach it that simplistically. We don't approach it that simplistically. You can hear me?
You didn't approach it in what way?
We don't approach the years that simplistically, like 2024 is 8, Tehuti. The most influential energy for the year, you have to go to the Taoist, knowledge of cycles. So next year is a dragon year. So next year we can expect draconian events like you've never experienced before. If you think this year was bad with what's happening in Palestine, wait for next year.
Okay, we have a question from our online chat. What does it mean to nourish your quest to oneness and the realization of your divine self through artistic works?
Through artistic works.
Artistic works.
What's that, a painting now, or poem, or what?
They didn't specify.
Okay, well, art is the special use of the imagination, and it depends on, not the artwork, but the artist itself. So if the artist is devoted to observing the spiritual laws to achieve divinity, then the divine parts of the spirit will generate artistic creations, that are consonant with this divine life. So it depends on the devotion of the artist itself.
Yes, go ahead.
Yeah. We have another question online. So does the course take care of those in the Southern Hemisphere around this time throughout the next 12 months?
Yes, because the force is not the seasonal weather. The seasonal weather force. It's a geomagnetic force. You see that? Meaning that people in the Southern Hemisphere are still receiving the northern stream of energy coming from the northern pole. You see that? Okay, so it is not a weather thing. It's not a seasonal thing. It's a geomagnetic, effect, which I make very clear in the course itself.
I'm sorry, we don't have time for multiple questions right now because we have a lot of people online and we are approaching the hour, right? So we will have opportunities through the course for you to ask questions. Okay.
Yeah, I wanted to know, in your opinion, what would be the best way to use Kamitic spirituality in general to work directly for nation building or Pan-African nation building?
Very good, very good. First of all, there are 11 laws that govern your spirit. And if you cultivate them, all of them, it will make you a true leader. You see that? You first have to awaken your divine faculties to be able to lead effectively with wisdom, with compassion and tolerance, and so on. Okay? Then I have a book called Meditative Volume 6 that has 72 mantras for over 200 different life, events. So there will be mantras in that book that you will find, okay, that will help you with your leadership, the leadership challenges that will come up in your projects.
Thank you.
Okay. And by the way, you see, I'm the leader of my group, and many of these young men and women are leaders in my society, right? So you'll be following what we are following to build an international organization for the past 50 years. Okay?
Thank you. And I asked because I'm a leadership psychologist, so that's
very good. Well, you'll find a lot of answers to your question in my books and these courses. Okay.
The other questions, a lot of questions online regarding the course that I need to answer by showing
So come on.
information.
So come on, man.
All right. Let's give it up for Un Nefer Amen. "50 years. That's a long marathon and still hard to keep up with him. So yes, we're going to bring up the information on the course. The Winter Solstice course is an on-demand online course, and it is available in the next few minutes. Right. So we have a link. Actually, we have the You see the flyers around there. You can scan that code and you can get the course. So this course is the first phase of a 4-phased process that takes place throughout the year, right? So the winter solstice is the beginning of the winter phase. And as he explained, the spiritual work that you're going to be getting and the support is from now, and you observe the 4 days of the winter solstice as you can, but the work continues after that all the way into March. And during that time, you will be having access to your modules, your meditations, group webinars for course members, where you can ask all your questions and share your experiences. And also in the app of the course itself, there's a section where you can post questions and also share your experience. So it's delivered on our platform, which is on a product called Soundwise. That's an app, Soundwise. And you can get the winter solstice course for $35. How about that? Yeah, it's really. He's still doing it for free. All right. So there is for those of you online, and we want to welcome and appreciate all the people online. We have over 500 in the webinar room, and we have people on Facebook, YouTube, Instagram as well. All right. So head to Pooh. To all of you, we appreciate you for joining us tonight. And the link is going to be posted there where you can go and you can order your course tonight. And if you were with us last year and you paid for the winter solstice course last year, it gets even better. You get a $5 discount. Okay, so there's a coupon, but you'd have to wait. We have to email you that coupon, and you can get $5 off. Your access to the information is immediate. The meditations, the mantras are already loaded, and the course will be evolving as we go along. So there'll be more and more. For example, I expect that this Tuesday we'll be having a course member webinar, and possibly Thursday. So those webinars will be added to the course. So as you go into your app and you listen to the course, you'll have access to all of that as well. Is that awesome? All right, check 'em or check 'em. Is there a way to full screen that? So this is the website. Can you go to the very top, or where we at? Okay, so this is the winter solstice, the first phase of the Osir Ra cycle of realization. So this course is just the first phase of 4 phases. So the meditation work that you do in the winter solstice is going to be carried through into the spring equinox with another module come out, and then the summer solstice, and then into the fall. So you have the whole complete package. This course also integrates the Kamitic spirituality understanding with the knowledge of the chakras. So you will learn that there are 4 psychic chakras that are specially energized during these 4 phases of the year. This one that we'll be starting with is the Swadhisthana chakra. So there will be mantras to purify and to elevate the function of those psychic chakras in integration with the Osirian principles that you were introduced to tonight, right? So you can get your course, get yourself started, because you definitely want to start your first 21-day streak, right? As you go into the winter solstice and carry that meditation on for 21 days, okay? So scan the code before you leave, or if you're online, you can click the link that's in the chat, and you can go to the website and get started. Okay, the last thing we wanted to do tonight was just talk to you again. Let me just, you could put up the next slides. Talk to you again about another offshoot of Shechem Shechem's incredible insight into the power of time and cycles. So when we're talking about the winter solstice, we're talking about the annual cycle, right? The cycle of the year. So it's a solar year, 12 months with 4 phases. But throughout the year, there's also the lunar cycles. And the lunar cycles are very powerful. And one of the things that has been so beneficial to us over the many years of Osiris Set is that every month, right, we focus on a different aspect of your spirit based on the astrology that's involved. For example, we just came out of the Tehuti cycle, right? And the war that happened, or the aggression that happened in Palestine, it's still with us now, right? Really started in the Tehuti cycle. And you remember the invasion that happened on the full moon of Tehuti. And then Sheikh mentioned it earlier. Many of us also took note that there was a serious development now that we're in the cycle of Sebek, right? And Sebek's number is 3. You know, there was that incident where the Israeli forces killed 3 of their own people, right? And they're Sebek, right? Because the portfolio of Sebek is young men. Those 3 young men were killed by what? Accident, confusion, miscommunication. So there's this communication taking place to show us what energy is present, what energy is moving, you know, the world, right? Another interesting example is AI, right? You know, this thing that's happening with AI. And Google, in the cycle of Sebek, right? And actually, Sebek is Gemini and Virgo. This is the moon cycle of Gemini, releases AI. And what do they call it? Gemini. And they released it on Wednesday. And the mantra of Sebek is Aim, I-E, AI, right? So, you know, one of the things that has really been amazing in the experience of Osiris Set is that, you know, we're dealing with science because science leaves clues, right? If they go to the scene of a crime, right, there's forensic evidence that they're going to gather. They can get your fingerprints, your hair, your DNA, and they can prove scientifically whether you were there or not, right? So the same way the faculties of the spirit have their fingerprint. They have their DNA that they leave. And the brother was speaking about numbers and things like that. You know, so with that understanding, he guided us to recover the ancient Kamitic lunar calendar, the calendar of the months. And my person's been fortunate enough to be able to execute, you know, the maintenance of that calendar. And we have the calendar for 2024 here with the lunar cycles for you, right? And each of the lunar cycles is governed by a different faculty of the spirit. And that faculty of the spirit represents the proper highest expression of that energy. So when we say, for example, this war really kicked on the cycle of Tehuti, you say, oh, that's that martial energy. But what's the highest expression of spiritual expression of Mars? Is to be able to distinguish between what? Justice and vengeance. And isn't that the question about what's going on right here? Right? So this communication is coming from the spirit. In addition to the monthly calendar, we've also developed a journal, a spiritual journal that gives you the information about the cycles, but it gives it to you in a manner where, and this year we made some modifications, where you can apply the understanding of the energy of the month to the qualities, the principles, the faculties, the facilities that you need, right? So you know if for example it is the Sebek cycle right now, there's a portfolio in here that explains to you the law that governs this energy of Sebek. And we were taught that this ties into that ancient prophecy that there'd be a tree of life that serves a different fruit every month. Anybody familiar with that? Right? Yeah, it says in the book of Revelations that there's a tree of life, and this tree of life bears a different fruit every month. But what is a fruit? A fruit is something that you nourish yourself on, right? That makes you stronger, that makes you healthy. And it also has leaves for medicine. So this is talking about the fact that every month there's an energy that takes place that you can nourish yourself on. So for example, this month, we look at Sebek's personality. The positive expression of it deals with things like effective communication, analytical thinking, intellectual curiosity, adaptability, persuasive skills, versatility, memory retention, expressive writing, business acumen, financial focus, technologically skilled. Anybody needs to improve in those areas? Can I make you better in your relationship, in your career and so forth, right? So that's the energy that is available from the environment if you know how to access that energy. On the negative side, it talks about confused thinking, ineffective communication, intellectual challenges, poor memory retention, lack of persuasion, limited adaptability, communication problems, incoherent writing, deceptive communication, inclination towards lying, scheming, deception, short-term thinking, easily rationalizing incorrectness. So that's kind of like the negative side, right? So every month you kind of get a sense of, let me assess my person, let me assess what's going on in my life, and know that I can incorporate that in my meditation, in my contemplation of my growth, right? And I can enhance the positive because that energy is available, and I can be aware of the things that I need to correct that might be stimulated by that energy that are expressing themselves in a negative way in my life, right? So your journal gives you that introspective opportunity as well as a place to log your meditations, your experiences, as you go along. So we brought some of those down. We have them available. They're also available on the website. And as Sheikh Masheka mentioned, since we will be doing the meditations to the Pau Neteru every month, this will give you a heads up to know what's coming up, to analyze yourself, to make sure you're living in harmony with the law, and that you are accessing the divine powers that are there for your nourishment and for your medicine. All right. So again, we want to thank you for coming out at such a late hour on a Sunday. We want to thank Nicholas. I think we're in overtime, right? Staying late. Y'all stay open until 10 every Sunday? Probably not, right? So again, we want to thank you all for coming. Peace and blessings, and have a good evening. Oh, before you leave, I see we have some Medunita Oracle decks here. We have some books.
I don't know. Can you step this? Right now. Okay.